Greetings, my name is Lars, one of the team members at Big Picture Games, and I'll be giving a brief overview of the many changes we have in store for you in beta. These changes will be live the moment you step foot into Agon. With that said, let's jump right into it. The game client security was a top priority during the development process. Among many things, we have implemented authentication changes that invalidate old versions of Darkfall. Our programmers have worked tirelessly over this aspect, and we have great confidence in the results. Skills and stats have been front-loaded to be more effective earlier on. This means that a character will become viable much quicker, and in doing so decreases the power gap between new and old players alike. Many passive skills have been reworked to be automatically integrated into each character. This includes previous skills such as swimming, rigor, willpower, and more. Leveling speeds have been increased across the board. This change will allow you to raise your skills and stats faster than before, but it's also slow enough to keep long-term character progression intact. We feel it to be very balanced in its current state. Meditation has been configured to function while players are online or offline. The previous functionality of only working while offline gave players incentives to not play the game, and that didn't seem right with us. Players will be able to play the game while enjoying passive skill gains. The meditation page has been split into category tabs to allow for organization and convenience. Each player will automatically start with 25,000 points. Rise of Agon is a hardcore game, and it takes some getting used to. That is why the new player experience is of utmost importance to us, and these changes will reflect that. Newly created characters will now start with all transfer spells, mana missile, bindstone recall, rest, and all 3 starter weapons right onto their hotbar. Further enhancing the new player experience, players will also receive some basic items to start off with. These small changes will have a huge impact on transitioning the player into the world of Agon. Many of the default player bindings have been optimized, resulting in key mappings that players will instantly feel at home with. Manually set key bindings and hotbar configurations will now save immediately upon changing them. Relogging to save your binds is a thing of the past. Players are now able to stack spells, skills, and items onto each other on the hotbar. Players have a variety of options to choose from for each slot, including Cycle, First Available, and Burst. This change helps make macro programs obsolete, as the macros have been built directly into the game. Sword and Shield can also now be bound to the same slot. The Vitals display is now fully customizable. Players can adjust the size to fit their preferences, and also set the numerical values however they like. Hiding specific bars is also an option. In an effort to make ships more valuable, we've increased their speed, turn rate, and acceleration. This will make traveling by sea a more desirable plan of action, while also having an impact on water hopping and naval combat. Speaking of ships, the total amount of resources needed to craft a launch has been reduced. As for the pinnace and sloop, they no longer require an astrolabe to craft. Crafters are an important part of Agon, which is why we wanted to make their lives a little less mundane. Items of the same type can now be moved in batches, simply by holding down a hotkey. This makes the crafting and looting process for large quantities much easier to deal with. Items in the crafting windows have also been fully reorganized by rank. Determining the overall value for a piece of armor is now much easier. Each armor piece will have a total armor protection value, so crafters and PvPers alike will now be able to determine the quality of an item at the first glance. A skill requirement has been added to smelting, making the rarity of each ore split into tiers. We've also reduced the total time it takes to refine raw materials. Harvesting speeds have been increased, and each node's capacity for resources has been reduced. This makes it so harvesting is more of an activity rather than an incentive to be away from your keyboard. Resource weights have been reduced to accommodate this change. Chaos Chest loot tables have been buffed and now offer more variance. Opening them will be a more desirable option. Houses will now be seeing a higher turnover rate in ownership as property taxes are now only payable by the owner or by a tenant. While looting a tombstone of a fallen enemy, players will now be able to loot each item simply by clicking on it. This is part of our continued effort to make scripts unnecessary. While griefing is part of the game, we wanted to address some exploits that made doing so far too easy. When a character goes gray or red in tower range, any player that buffs or heals that character will now turn gray themselves. A detailed list of every development change, including those not mentioned in this video, will be available in our patch notes. Many of these are quality of life changes, and when you put them all together, make playing this game much more enjoyable. This patch is the first of many, as we will continue to make common sense changes as well as add in new and exciting content into the world of Agon. We are eager to hear your feedback and work with you in order to make Darkfall: Rise of Agon the very best it can be. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.